Hey guys, it's Star the Flippin' Hippo. Welcome back to our channel at Flippin' Hippos on YouTube. Thank you for joining us today. I know you can't see my face, you see my seller hub. We're just going to get right into this today. It's going to be mostly screen shares, and you'll probably see my face at the end. So, last week we had the video on how to deal with difficult buyers while retaining your sanity. And we talked about a few rules when dealing with difficult buyers, mainly when you're crafting or writing a response or a message towards them. You always want to use the royal we. That's number one. Number two, you want to sound like your message is automated. It's not a personal response from a person to another person. It is a automated response from a business to a customer. It should almost sound like a form letter. No emotion in it whatsoever. Then number three, you always want to apologize. You can always find something to apologize for. And number four, you want to offer a solution. So when you're actually writing or crafting a message, I would recommend, these are going to be a little different. They're going to be out of order. You always want to open with your apology. Okay? And then you want to explain why it is the way it is. And then offer the solution. So you open your messages to them with an apology, but this is why it is the way it is. You explain it, and then you offer them a solution. You retain the royal we and the automated robotic voice throughout the message. So I'm going to go ahead and screen share some of my messages that I've crafted to difficult buyers and many different situations, just to give you guys examples. Okay, so I've just opened this up in Paint so that I could hide the buyer's name. And as you can see, she was concerned down here. Today is my granddaughter's birthday. This was a gift for her. My mailman finally came and it is still not here. Listing said it would be here by February 8th. So she's just a little concerned about where her package might be, and she is reiterating at the end here that my listing said it would be here by February 8th. So I need to address her package not being there, and I also need to address the listing said it would be there and it's not, so she doesn't feel like she was duped. So I open with my apology, and I'm always using the royal we. Hello, we are sorry to hear that you haven't received your package yet. eBay does put estimated shipping times on listings, but ultimately it is just an estimate. So I'm telling her how it is, but nicely. And then I tell her when it was shipped. And then I say, here's where I go like one step further for her to kind of make her feel like I'm going out of my way for her. We took the liberty of looking up your tracking number, and it says that there is a delay. We would recommend calling your post office to see if they have any further information for you. And that is where I offer her her resolution. We went ahead and checked her tracking number, but we can't see anything else. So now we're offering her the resolution of, hey, we can't help you, but you can call your post office. And we reiterate here that all we can see is the info given for the tracking number. And then I sign it the hippohutteam, keeping that royal we, the business. It's not just a person that she's talking to a business. So quick background on this one before I just read you the section I've chosen here. There were actually like maybe 50 messages between us and this buyer. Originally they had sent us 3 separate offers on 3 separate items, and they were pretty low offers. We countered on all 3 items with amounts that, were we selling these items one by one, we never would have gone that low, but we figured if we're combining 3 items into one shipment, we're saving shipping, and we can extend the savings to them. On each of the 3 offers that we sent them, in the place where you get to put a message, we said this offer is only good if you buy all 3 items, and made it very clear because it was on all 3. They declined 2 of them and bought 1. We sent a really nice message to them saying that we're sorry, we cannot give you just this 1 item. We made it very clear that it was for all 3, and then of course they got really angry, and we got, I think, 4 messages right in a row before we could even even before we could read one. They were just coming in one right after the other, which made us believe that they were very emotional, because no one sits down and sends that many messages that quickly in a row if they're not emotional and upset. So they, as you can see here, they were threatening to contact eBay. They were telling us we weren't logical. They didn't get any private messages. They were all separate auctions. My response was, I opened with an apology. We apologize for any confusion with the sale and the previous offers from this item and other two. And then I addressed his issue here. He didn't get a private message, right? Well, while we did not send you a private message stating terms of sale, when we countered, we added a message. And then I let them know I'm attaching a screenshot here of the offer. And I told them they are welcome to contact eBay. The best offer system is set up for buyers and sellers to set terms of a sale. We can honor our offer that we countered with, but we cannot honor only part of the deal. So I basically, as nicely as I could, and respectfully, let them know you can contact eBay, but the best offer system is set up to allow us to set terms of the sale that you didn't follow. And showed him where it had said that. He responded by apologizing, actually, and thanked me for my apology. Said thank you for apologizing for the confusion, and then he said I am sorry on my end for the confusion. It wasn't quite wrapped up at that point. There was some more back and forth. He was still trying to get a lower price than what we wanted for all three. At the end of the day, they really just wanted this moose and didn't want the armadillo and the Star Wars t-shirt they had made the offer on, but we weren't not going to honor our terms of sale. I'm not giving them one item that cheap. They ended up buying all three. They were very difficult about it. They took several days to pay. They wanted an invoice. They wanted to tell us when to ship it. They wanted us to ship it before they paid at one point, and then at one point he just wanted the moose shipped, and he said he'd buy the other two items later. This one was a mess, but we remained professional throughout. We kept this tone with him through everything, and at the end of the day, he's got his items, we got our money. Next example of messages I'm going to show you is going to be a great example of how to respond to someone who is completely irate. This buyer was mad. They were overly emotional. They were another one that was sending like 3, 4, 5, 6 messages, ding, 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 right back in a row, and obviously just spewing out the mouth, so to speak, or spewing through their fingers into the keyboard. Their complete frustration, their complete anger towards us. I mean, these messages were just coming in so fast that we knew that they were completely emotional. At the end of the day, this person was most likely a scammer, but at the time, we thought we were just dealing with an upset buyer. So this is a great example of how to deal with them and how to diffuse the situation and take back the control while giving good customer service at the same time. And then this is also a great example of how to hold your ground and call their bluff and not give partial refunds, which I've recently done a rant about, and I'll link that down below for you. So, this was the first message that we got from them. They wanted to let us know that they received their globe and that they are beyond furious. They turned the knob and it would not turn. They loved this dragon because it was a dragon. They collect them, and they were totally disappointed. A little tiny backstory: before they bought it, they sent us an offer with a message that they had lost their entire collection of dragon snow globes in a fire, and they were looking to replace them and couldn't spend a lot of money on each one. So we did cut them a deal. This did work when it left our house. We have pictures of it in the listing at different angles, and we tested it before it left. And so here's our first response to them. It starts with the apology. We are sorry to hear that you are disappointed with your item. All of our items undergo quality assurance during listing and again before leaving to ship out. This particular snow globe was in working order when it left our warehouse, but unfortunately things do happen during shipping that is beyond anyone's control. We're letting them know that we believe the item is broken, but we would never send a broken item. So it's kind of like reputation control. We would never send you a broken item, but that doesn't mean it couldn't have gotten broken, something couldn't have happened to it. So you're doing reputation control on your store, on your business, at the same time that you're not calling them a liar. You never want to let a buyer think that you're calling them a liar or calling them dishonest, because that's the fastest way to get someone who is not being dishonest really superly offended and angry with you, and someone who is trying to be dishonest, those aren't the greatest people to deal with anyway, so they'll just become more snake-like. So we just always try to let people know, hey, we didn't do this. It's not our fault, in a responsible, respectful way. At the same time, hey, but we believe you, because things happen. Then we let them know that we offered our 100% money back satisfaction, and we asked them to open a return case, and we told them this is the resolution we're offering them, that we would gladly issue them a refund. Now here's where it starts to get dicey. They don't want to return it because it's a nice piece. They just want one that works or a deal on this one. So now they're saying they don't want to return it. They want to keep it and get one that works or their money back. So this is where I started to think, And one of the many messages that we got before we could respond, now they're reiterating they want one that works. They do not want to return this. Return shipping is not worth it. And then here's where they accuse us of being scammers. We know it's not worth returning, so we send out broken product, and this is our gimmick. This did have a defect. There was a piece missing on it that we disclosed in the listing, which is part of the reason why we made a deal with them and took the lower off anyway, because it wasn't a perfect item. But now here they're saying they should have known. This is where I actually thought it was funny. They should have known when this piece had a piece missing that we were going to be dishonest and scammers. If we were disclosing in the listing that there was a piece broken off of the snow globe, but not that it didn't work, it just doesn't make sense to me. If we're honest people, we disclose the flaws, but dishonest people wouldn't disclose anything. I don't know. That part just blew my mind. Another message that we got in between being able to respond to them, in spite of all my best efforts, they did feel like I was calling them a liar. And here for the 5th, 6th, 8th time, whatever, they're reiterating that shipping it back is not worth it. At this point, I was starting to think I was more dealing with someone who was trying to scam me out of a free item or a partial refund than dealing with an irate buyer that I needed to accommodate and calm down and do my best customer service with. When they keep reiterating that shipping it back isn't worth it and they just want their money or they just want a different item, and then they get accusatory and defensive, it kind of sends the flags up with me. So we decided to call their bluff. So I responded with my typical, I'm dealing with an irate buyer and I'm doing good customer service response, but I still have this uneasy feeling that I'm being scammed. But that's okay. Let's see what they do when I call their bluff. So I start with an apology, and I'm again sorry that they're not satisfied. I address the situation where they were asking for another one that works. I tell them that this was a one-of-a-kind item and we don't have any others like it to offer them. Then I remind them of our policy and eBay's policy. You sometimes need to reiterate to these upset people that you're only following policy, because at the end of the day, the buyer and the seller have to follow eBay policy. Yes, it is your business and it is your store, and eBay gives you a lot of freedom on how you want to run it. But at the end of the day, we all have to follow their policies. And sometimes it's best just to remind them that, hey, I'm not a bad guy. I'm not saying you're a bad guy, but we just all have to follow these policies. And that's all I'm trying to do here, buddy. So I remind him our policy and eBay's policy that we do not offer partial refunds. So now I've addressed that they want the second one. We don't have it. This was a one of a kind. And here I address why you're not getting your partial refund. I again tell them if they return it, we give them all their money back. And here's where I call their bluff. And if they're not a scammer, this is just going to be one extra step of exemplary customer service, because they either don't know how to open a return to have us give them a label, and they're really upset for paying shipping back. So now I've told them how to do it, and they're going to be really happy with me, and I've solved their issue. Again, this is offering the resolution at the end. Or they're a scammer, and I'm calling their bluff, and I'm saying, look, you're complaining that you don't want to pay to ship it back. What if I pay to ship it back? Because they obviously don't want to ship it back. So I just here teach them how to open the return to have us pay for it. And this was their beautiful response. They filed it and we have to respond. At this point, I really felt like them opening the case was them calling our bluff and seeing if they hadn't reiterated enough times that the return shipping wasn't worth it to see if we really would take it back, or at this point just give in and give them the partial refund. We did not. We accepted the case. It sat for a week. After it reached the deadline that they had to ship the item back to us, I called eBay. I had the case closed in our favor. And that is a really good example of why you should not be offering partial refunds and giving in. I think that most resellers at some point in this situation would have given the partial refund. We didn't. We pushed them. We called their bluff. They still have the item. We still have all our money. Win-win. But as you can see, even with the most angriest of customers, even with ones that you think may or may not be scammers, you can deal with them professionally. And just a quick update on that last example with the snow globe. They actually, after we had eBay close the return because they didn't return it on time, they sent us a message and claimed that they were in the hospital with pneumonia and asked if we could give them a second chance and reopen the return and send them a label. And then they said we should have just sent a label in the box with the item to begin with because we knew it was broken and we knew we were getting it back. At that time, we just responded with, unfortunately, we're following policy and we felt like we've done everything in our power to help you. And I don't think we addressed the label in the box thing because that was kind of weird. Then they came back and they backpedaled and they weren't sick. They didn't have pneumonia. They spent that whole week they had to return it checking their email, and they never got a label. And we explained that the label's with the return, and we just kept going around in circles with them. They kept going back and forth between they were sick and they were in the hospital, and then they weren't sick, and we never accepted the return, and we never gave them a label. And so at one point, we actually wrote them, and we were nice about it, but we said that we've explained the situation to you over and over, and at this point we're only going in circles, so we're going to cut off communication here. And guess what they did? They went through PayPal after that and opened a case there to get their money back, and they lost through PayPal. We supplied PayPal with screenshots of every message that we had, all the communication with that buyer, and proof that a return was opened and closed by eBay per their policy and the deadline that they supplied. And so PayPal ruled in our favor as well, and we didn't have to refund any money, nor did we have to take the item back. So that's just a quick update. If you guys liked this video or found it helpful at all, please do me a favor and smash that like button down below. If you haven't already and you would like to, please subscribe to our channel and help us feed a hungry hippo. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We are at Flippin' Hippos. Until next time, you guys have a good night.